are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. I know it's been a minute, but I'm back. Um, Let me just straighten out this. Hold on. All right. I think we are good to go. So, I hope you're doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching me from. Um, So today I want to talk about storytelling, yes. But before we get into that, I want to tell you something about tomatoes. I don't know, some of you might um, pronounce this as tomatoes. I say tomatoes, tomatoes sometimes, yeah. But it doesn't matter. Tomato, tomato. Mm-hmm. So, just one second. I recently realized that tomatoes are actually very, very nutritious. And tomato is tomatoes. I struggle with this. Tomatoes are actually fruits. Isn't that crazy? For the longest time, you think that they're vegetables, but they're actually fruits and very, very nutritious. The other day, my neighbor uh, got me like fresh tomatoes. I love like when they're just plucked or harvested fresh from the garden. Super, super nutritious, and they taste so good. And the taste, to be honest, is totally different from the tomatoes that you buy from the grocery store or even sometimes from the market. The um, we call it the open market in Kenya. Yeah, so I just want to share a few facts about tomatoes before we go to the main topic, which is storytelling, because that's what we want to talk about today. So, tomato is a fruit, it's an edible berry that is native to South America and Mexico. I was like, what? I thought tomatoes originated from Africa. But they offer significant health benefits and so you have nutrients like vitamin C, potassium, lycopene. I hope I pronounced it right. Yeah, and that is actually a very powerful antioxidant with potential health benefits. Yeah, so tomatoes are good for your health, good for the heart, and I believe in eating food that is grown using no chemicals at all. Yeah, because some of the fertilizers have a lot of chemicals. In today's world, it's really difficult to know how food is grown. You actually just trust what is written on when you buy from the grocery store or the supermarket. Yeah, but all in all, we hope that we are eating healthy, at least as much as we can. Yep. All right. I love this mirror. Got it from Amazon. So today I want us to talk about storytelling. So storytelling is, I call it a form of art or a form of communication, you'd say, that has been in existence for generations and generations. In Africa, this form of communication was a way of passing down information from one generation to the next. Okay, and nowadays storytelling can be used to educate, inspire. I think that is what it was used uh, for in the past, but mainly in most African communities, storytelling was used, like I said, as a way of passing down information from one generation to the next. That is how we would learn our history, through storytelling. Now we are in 2025, it is more advanced. We have various mediums of storytelling. We have oral, written, digital formats, and a lot of ways that we can tell stories. Okay, so do we still have cultures in Africa that practice storytelling like our ancestors used to? I would believe so, yeah. I would believe that there are communities that have preserved this form of communication, this way of actually preserving information, in its purest form without, which word am I looking for? Without the information being contaminated or twisted or whatnot. Okay, so um, why is storytelling important? Okay, so before we go to find out why storytelling is important, um, in the African cultures, oh, hi. Okay, so in the African cultures, um, we had like professional storytellers. What do I mean by professional storytellers? These were people whose main job or task was to focus on storytelling, on preserving information, on making sure that it's passed from one generation to the next in the way that it was supposed to. Okay, yeah, and then there are different ways of storytelling. It involved repetition. Repetition is very important because that is how the information kind of sticks, for lack of a better word. Yeah, because if you constantly listen and listen to the same thing all the time, you tend to remember that. So repetition is a form of not really a form of storytelling, but one of the ways in which you'd actually, it's a tool, I would say, yeah, that was used in storytelling to actually help people remember. Okay. Um, so storytelling has a lot of purposes and functions. One of them is cultural preservation. And I am very passionate about this, I would really want us to go back to when, the elders or the community would actually um, put a lot of emphasis on storytelling as a way of passing down information from one generation to the next. Really, I really think it's important. It helps in preserving culture so that we do not forget, you know, our cultures and traditions. Because nowadays, the way the world moves, it's so fast paced, and there are new things that are being adopted every now and then, and we don't want to lose the essence of who we are. Okay. Hi, Larry Lamar. How are you? How's Florida? Yeah. So, very, very important that we go back to storytelling in the way that it was done by our ancestors. That's just my take. Okay. So repetition is very important in storytelling. Rhythm, you don't want something that's boring, Proverbs, oh my gosh, essential. Proverbs are very, very, very important. I remember growing up, we would learn a lot of proverbs, especially in Swahili. Oh my goodness. Like even today, I wanted to share one proverb. I'll say it in Swahili and then I'll try to explain the best way I can. So the proverb is mtaka. We actually call proverbs methali in Swahili. So it's mtaka cha mvunguni sharti ainame. Okay. So literally, it means that if you want something that is like maybe underneath something and it's difficult to get to, you have to bend to actually get to what you want, right? And in life, it simply means that in order to get something, you need to do the necessary steps to get to get that thing or to get to wherever you want to. Like nothing really comes easy. You have to put in the efforts and the work, right? So proverbs are very, very important in telling stories. I believe also Proverbs really helps in critical thinking, Yeah, because For me, when I listen to a proverb, I try to look at the literal meaning. I try to look like at the implied meaning, and yeah. So proverbs are very, very important. Riddles, riddles actually are the ones that I would think really involve critical thinking, because some riddles can have you confused, but very important, right? And also, like, there's some performances that can be vibrant. All this just to help us remember stories, yeah. And I would say, back in the days, probably when I wasn't in this beautiful earth yet, maybe I was, I don't know, but I believe we used to eat so healthy. Like, we would eat like food had meaning. I'm not saying that food doesn't have meaning now, excuse me, but oops, sorry. But we were very particular, or our parents or grandparents were very particular about what we were eating, you know. They made sure that we got the nutritional benefits that we needed. Yeah. So why? Oh my gosh, I just lost my. Oh, I was talking about that because I believe also to continue using this form of communication, we need to have like very good memories. Yeah. We need to keep the information here, store the information, and I believe our living, like our lifestyle, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Our lifestyle really plays a huge role in our memories, yeah. We can only try the best that we can. Sometimes things happen to us that are out of control, but that doesn't mean that we should stop trying, yeah. So yeah, so eating healthy is also important. You might be wondering, how is eating healthy related to storytelling? Because I believe it would help with our memory, and in that way, we are able to like really remember the most important facts or the information that we need to pass on to the next generation. So storytelling. Storytelling. I'm gonna blame that on my Invisaligns. Yeah. Oh, I have Invisaligns in my mouth, and so yeah. I've never said it that way. That's crazy. So storytelling. One of the purposes and functions of storytelling is cultural preservation. Okay. So it keeps rich traditions, local cultures, and history alive by passing down knowledge and customs from the older generation to the younger generation. Okay, and I believe this is very important. Like I said, this was done, and I believe it's still done in Africa. Right now, with the social media and the advancements in technology that we've had, I do not know that this is still being done uh, in the scale that it was years back. But I would hope that it's something that we can go back and look into and really just try to revive it, yeah. So I believe that it is actually very important to hear from people who lived through history. We can read books. Books can capture what happened, but how beautiful is it to actually hear, like I would say, from the horse's mouth, for people who've lived through these experiences, people who've actually witnessed history in the making. Yeah. So I think about ways that I can actually absorb information from the people who lived through history. There's fewer of them now. If you are really in proximity to such people, I would urge you to just take time out of your day, sit down with them, listen to them, yeah. I'm not saying that you should 100% believe what people would say, because as human beings sometimes we embellish. But I think that we would just have the sense to know, like what's true, what's not. Yeah, we can judge for ourselves. Yeah, but it's very important if you have a grandparent, a grandparent, a neighbor, like people who've actually lived in those times. It's very important to hear from them, to listen to them, and maybe even just find a way of storing the information, honestly speaking. Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah. And then moral and social education. Yes, storytelling is very important. Like I said, there are different tools that you can use while storytelling, like repetition, riddles, proverbs. And I'll speak for myself. Like in Kenya, most of the riddles are really like life lessons. Like to encourage you, to admonish you, to teach you, to inform you. Yeah, so you can use the riddles and the proverbs to do all these things that I've mentioned. Yeah, so it's very, very important. And so we can say that one of the functions and purposes of storytelling is to teach us morally and socially. So moral and social education, which is very important. Yeah, like we need some morals in society, especially now. Yes, I just say, yeah. Communal bonding, and I believe this was very integral, very, very important in the African culture, still is. Like we are I'll speak for Africans in general, but if this doesn't apply to you, please let me know. Yeah, but being Kenyan, being African, I've grown in community, right? Yeah. It's so storytelling helps in communal bonding. Have you ever heard of the saying that it takes a village to raise a child? This is actually literally true in Kenya, Yeah. Not everywhere in the cities, lifestyles are changing, But if you still go to some of the rural areas in the villages, this actually happens, yeah. If a neighbor or a relative sees your child doing something that's not right, they would correct the child. They could even discipline the child. Or if they see your child hurting or in need of help, like this is how it was and still is in some communities, right? Yeah. So I think this is a good way to live because it helps us, just to be part of a community, to know that it takes more than one person to really build, and that every person is also important in society. I don't know if that made sense. It made sense in my head. I hope it makes sense to you too. Yeah. So storytelling, very important, yeah, for communal bonding. So it serves as a communal activity because when uh, stories would be told, I don't want to use it in the past tense because it's still an ongoing thing in some communities. So during storytelling, what is happening with it? It's like a tongue twister, this word today. Crazy. Yeah, like people would come together, you'd gather maybe around a fire outside, or there would be activities like dancing and stuff like that. And then you sit down and listen, um, to the storytellers do their thing. Yeah. So it was that time that people would come together, sit, listen, learn, from one another. Yeah. So, and also during this time, that's when, communities would share their beliefs, their myths. We've had a lot of African myths, and yeah, and also just having that sense of a collective identity. Yeah, for example, I am I am Kenyan, I am Luo. Right, so I am from the tribe Luo. And so just having a tribe that's alone is like being part of a tribe. That's already is like a sense of community. Being part, being Kenyan, that's like a community too, right? So, and it gives you the sense of like collective identity, right? Yeah, when I step out into the world, who do I identify as? And I could identify as how I would want to, like as Kenyan, African, which these are facts. It's not just me saying that, oh, I'm this way and this way. No, these are actual facts. Yeah, I am Luo, I am Kenyan. I come from a tribe of people who have different customs and traditions and stuff like that. So when people would sit together, I would think it would give you like a sense of pride, sense of just being part of a community. I think that's a beautiful thing. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Hi, Anonymous. You look like Lara from Katseye. Cat's Eye. Why did I read it? I'm in my African mode, so I don't know who Lara is. I never heard of Lara. I don't know, but hey, thanks for your comments, guys. Thank you so much for engaging. It really helps. Thanks for the likes. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Thank you, Mark Flavor. Yeah. So storytelling is very, very important. Okay. So the primary method of storytelling is through spoken word. Okay, this was actually done for generations and generations and generations by our ancestors. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this form of art called spoken word, where people like narrate poems like poetry. Yeah, but this was actually done way, way before. It's something that has been there. It's not something new that has been invented. Yeah, so spoken word is very powerful. Yeah, and yeah, so this is how information would be transmitted from one person to the next. Spoken word, very important. So we're just going through the key elements of storytelling. Yeah, if you guys have any thoughts, you can share in the comment section. I would love to hear from you too, right? We are in the process of learning from each other. Performance, right? So this would incorporate music, song, and dance. And what this does, it just helps enhance the narrative, right? And in Africa, in Kenya, we love dancing. We love music. Actually, we have so many tribes in Kenya. I can't keep count. I don't know if we are 43 or 44. I don't know. And then yeah, so, and also different languages as well, different dialects. um and music is very, very important. Yeah, so song and dance and gestures. And actually different communities have different like dances and traditions and different songs, and there's a different feeling, honestly. Like when I sing in my language, my first not really, Luo was not my first language. I think actually my first language that I learned was Swahili, and then Luo and English. Or is it Swahili, English, Luo? I don't know. Yeah, but something in that. I would say Swahili, and then Luo and English interchangeably, I would say. Yeah. And so, like when I listen to songs in Luo or Swahili, it's just different. Yeah. Like I feel that excitement. I do too when I listen to songs in English, don't get me wrong, but I'm just trying to share the experience that I have. Um, and so, yes, so it's storytelling is a dynamic, communal, and participatory performance. I believe that in one way or another, we all uh, contributes in the storytelling, the listener, the person telling the stories, the dancers, the singers, yeah. But the song and the dance and the music just helps to enhance the storytelling or the narrative or whatever is being told, yeah. It's it brings some color to it, I would say. Yeah. And storytellers, yes, we do need storytellers. If you're just joining in, we're talking about the key elements and characteristics of storytelling. And earlier on, I did say storytelling is very important. That is how information was passed down, and I would hope still is being, excuse me, passed down from one generation to the next. And in African society, this was, and I should hope it still is, a very important tool that we use in preserving our cultures, our history, our traditions, Yeah. So skilled storytellers, you know, are like living libraries. Excuse me. And this is very powerful. Oops. Always gotta have a mirror in hand. Yeah, it's very, very powerful. Living libraries. Like, ooh, yes. Yes, yes. I agree 100%. So, and they're very, the storytellers are very crucial, to be very important, like we need them, yeah. And that is why I hope that this form of communication is preserved. I hope that we are doing all we can to like just preserve storytelling, by encouraging people to be skilled and professional storytellers, by soaking in as much information as we can from people who've lived through history. Yeah, so yeah, storytellers are very, very important. They are like living libraries. And also, as in African tradition, I know even like in other cultures, like in other continents and countries, like even countries in Asia, I believe they have rich traditions. Woo, what's happening to me today? Traditions in America, North America, South, I just believe all over the world. We all have our cultures and traditions that I believe, for the most part, should be maintained, especially those ones that are still, you know, very important. Not the ones that would cause harm, but the ones that would help um, in just like enriching us, yeah, in one way or another. Yeah, I think I would say. Okay. Hi, Ez. How are you? Thank you for joining. Yeah, so storytellers are very important. Yeah, we would not have storytelling without the storytellers. Yeah. And I just want to emphasize the storytellers are like living libraries. And so, we should just make sure that that is my hope. We should make sure that we still encourage people to be storytellers. And like I said earlier, just get as much information as we can from people who've lived through history. Trust me, because like in a few years, there's a whole generation that will not be there. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So what better time than this, for us to like just get as much knowledge and information as we can from our grandparents, our great grandparents, and people who are still alive, who are open and willing to share facts about history and what they've lived through. I think that's very important. Yes, 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 yes. We still need our living libraries. Yeah. I feel like storytelling is a very, very important form of communication. And there are people who probably would learn more from storytelling than just sitting down and reading a book, you know? Yeah. So, repetition and rhythm, we are still talking about the key elements and characteristics of storytelling. So, the use of repeated words and phrases and patterns make stories easier to understand. Yeah, like as a storyteller, I think there is an art to it. Yeah, because you don't want to be boring. You know, you want to engage the people listening to you, and you do this by using like repetition, using phrases and patterns just to keep people engaged and also to make it easier to understand and to remember. Yeah, and so, yeah. And last but not least, proverbs and riddles. And I think we talked about this earlier in the definition of storytelling. These are very important because I remember as a young girl, yeah, I would really enjoy the stories that had proverbs and riddles, especially the riddles would get me thinking. And I'm a very like visionary kind of person. I like to like imagine, you know, is imagine the right word? Like when I listen to a story or when I read something, I have like a very vivid imagination, I think I would say, yeah. And so having proverbs and riddles, I think if you incorporate this into storytelling, which I believe proverbs and riddles are very important in storytelling, yeah, they really do help. Yeah. And also proverbs like have, I don't know if that's correct to say it that way, but I will anyway. Yeah, but proverbs, they really have a lot of wisdom in there, you know. Yeah, I don't know if that's correct English, but just bear with me. Yeah, and so normally the proverbs and the riddles are incorporated into storytelling to help provide wisdom, okay, and clarify things, and most importantly to engage the audience. You know, there are people who maybe their attention span is not that long, you know, we drift. Just the normal person, I would say. Yeah, life happens, especially when you're an adult, life happens. And in the midst of listening to a story, you could like drift and start thinking about other things, thinking about bills. Yeah, you know, when you're an adult, there are things called bills that keep coming from left, right, center, bombarding you like crazy. Yeah. So just to engage the audience or the people listening, storytellers would incorporate proverbs and riddles, which I think are very, very important. Yeah. Some of the proverbs I learned or listened to when I was young, I still remember to date. And some of them, like I said, are life lessons. Yeah. And very, very important to in storytelling. Okay. 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 Did I say okay? Okay. So, why storytelling now? Why am I even talking about storytelling? Do we still need storytelling now that we have TV and streaming services and social media on the go? You're wondering, why is Angela talking about storytelling? I do because I believe that just because we have like new inventions, we don't need to let go of the old. Yeah. And so there's also a saying in Swahili, usiache mbachao kwa msala upitao, or there's another one, like just because you got something new, you should not completely get rid of the old. Okay, sometimes old is gold, and in this case, I do believe storytelling is still gold. It's still important. It's still relevant in these modern times, and it continues to be a vital force, to be honest, you know. Not only in local communities, in villages, but also just as a way of conserving and preserving our culture and traditions, and just giving us a sense of who we are. Yeah, I think it is something that we need to look into. I do believe that there are people who are still using this form of communication to pass on information, to preserve history and our cultures and traditions. And if you are doing so, I really, really applaud you. I hope that more and more of us would like look at it this way and actually take steps to just make sure that we preserve storytelling in its purest form, like it was intended to be by our ancestors. Yeah. And yeah, this really weighed heavy on my heart, and that's why I wanted to come on here and share. And I hope that you've been inspired, if not, maybe challenged, encouraged, or I don't know. I just hope that listening to me talking about storytelling will, like, provoke some thoughts and actions. I don't know what you're going to do with this information, but I do hope that we can continue this conversation in the comment section. Yeah, so even when the live has ended, we can still engage in the comment section. I will keep this live so that if you have joined me now or you didn't start watching from the beginning, you can always replay it and watch, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. All right, so unless you guys have any questions or any thoughts, I would end this live now, but I just want to thank you so much for taking your time to listen to me, and I hope that we would that we will that we will, uh, continue just looking more into storytelling. I hope like it has sparked some curiosity in you. It certainly has in me, yeah, because even when I'm sharing um, this, I'm also challenging myself, and yeah, like I really, really would like to see more storytellers, in communities, even in cities. Why not? We just don't have to like leave it to the villages and stuff like that. Even in cities, we can continue with this form of communication. I know now in 2025 there are different ways of doing it, but I do believe that spoken word is still very powerful. All right, so as I leave, I would like to say, please, please be a kind human. It doesn't cost a thing, and I'll catch you guys on my next live. Thank you, and have a beautiful rest of your day.